All right. So, what are some things that we deal with that is negative stuff in our families? Tempers. When somebody's having a temper tantrum, your spouse or your kids, pause before responding. Express your feelings, how you feel about it, and use the word I. So, tempers. Pause before responding because typically we want to respond in the same manner that they have, whether it's a spouse or a kid. And we want to pause and think about what we're saying, how we're saying it, and we want to do better than them. Next one is pouting. If you have someone in your house who always tends to pout and they're withdrawn, they really do want to talk about whatever it is. You want to encourage them to talk about it and then mostly listen, maybe give a little nod of your head or a little this and that, but mostly listen. They just need you to listen to them. And I can remember when I first got married and my husband would say, "Hey, what's the matter?" And I would say, "Nothing." And he started to know that when I said, "Nothing, nothing, nothing," no matter what the tone of voice I said nothing with, there was something the matter. And until he pulled it out of me and I talked about it, it didn't go away for me. Now, some people maybe they can tuck it back somewhere, but I was not able to do that. So he learned if I was pouting or withdrawn, it wasn't nothing, and that he should pull it out of me and listen and talk. That's important. So when somebody's pouting or withdrawn, it might be important to have a little empathy and see what it is. This is just how they deal with things. It's nothing against you, but you just want peace in your home. Next one is shouting. When somebody is shouting, you want to shout. It becomes a shouting match. You want to keep peace in your home. Agree to come back later when you're calmer. You know, there's no use arguing with a brick wall. Have you ever heard that? So if you have a spouse or you are the spouse that like once you get something in your head, you're not going to change your mind. You're not really listening to the other person. It becomes a shouting match. Learn to agree and come back to it later when you're calmer. That works a lot. The next one is too expected. Are we as a spouse too expected? Do you know we expect our spouse to think and do just like us? We expect our kids to like the same things. Maybe we're going to be a chemist, and so we expect our kid to like chemistry and science. Maybe we're a musician, and so we expect our kids to like music. Maybe we're a doctor, and we expect our children to be doctors or school teachers or whatever. Everybody's different. And we can't be expectant and expect them to be just like us. That's a divider right away when you expect your spouse to like everything you do or your kids to act and be just like you. And that's why it's important to learn the behavior styles and start to understand how we all behave differently. Once you do, it's like a gigantic window that opens up. You're like, how can we not know this? I think they should teach it in the schools. They don't. And yeah, I think they should teach it in the schools. It's really important. Learning the behavior styles. Let's see, the next one is being too expectant. Oops, that was it. I just did that one. E is self-centered. Now, this is a hard one because there's different reasons we're self-centered. A lot of it is there again, personality style, behavior style, like everything's about me. But I can remember a day when, as a teenager and a kid, everything kind of was about me. Like my parents had two kids and everything was about us. Or we thought so anyway. But then I had kids of my own. And soon as I had kids of my own, everything that was about me wasn't about me so much anymore. And to be honest, when I first got married, it was about pleasing my spouse and doing for him and having fun and laughing and doing things together and learning to run our house together, all those kind of things. But some people are self-centered and they stay that way. It can be an only child syndrome because everything was about them. They got everything they wanted. They didn't have to work for it. Parents fixed everything for them. They got to do everything they wanted and have the best of everything. Yeah. And so if we come from a family, well, that was great. You got to have everything you wanted and everything was about you, but it's not now. If you're married, it's everything's not about you. And if you have kids, boy, it's not about you, it's about your kids. So it's learning to find balance, isn't it? We have to have a little self-preservation, take a little time out for ourselves, fill our cup. Sometimes as moms, we feel self-centered if we take time out for ourselves. But the truth is, if you don't take time out for yourself and fill your own cup, because nobody else is probably going to do it, fill your own cup, figure out what you need. It might be a hobby, lunch with a friend, a quiet bubble bath, just some time watching HGTV. That's my favorite. To refuel. If you don't refuel and fill your cup, then you can't deal with everything else. And moms have such a giant responsibility. You've got to share that with your spouse, get a little help, and take time for yourself. And sometimes we're thinking, when am I going to take time for myself? But the self-centered person, they don't pay any mind to that. They're so stuck on themselves, they don't think about anybody else. Everything's about them. Well, one is practice empathy. If you have a tendency to only think about your needs, what you want, practice empathy. Start to empathize and think about your spouse. Keep a little peace there. Yeah, that's a big one. Second, put yourself in their shoes.